There's been a lot of talk about slut shaming. There should be a lot of talk about slut shaming all the time. We should talk about slut shaming until it stops. I ran across a couple of weeks ago, a friend sent me a link, or this week a friend sent me a link to something I missed on the Nancy Grace show on HLN. Usually I'm glued to the television for Nancy Grace because it's an appetite suppressant that I find to be very effective. But I missed this particular one. So I didn't get to see Sean Loftus and his appearance on Nancy Grace's horrifying hoedown. He's a middle school math teacher. He's got a master's degree. He seems like a pretty bright dude. Everybody at his school loves him, thinks he's a great teacher. But he made some porn in his youth. And Nancy Grace somehow got him to come on her show for some ritualized sex-phobic, slut-shaming, porn-bashing humiliation. Here's one little clip that I thought was pretty telling.
Sir, I realize that to you, 25 porn movies may not be many, but to a lot of us, one is a lot.
Sir, I realize to you, 25 porn movies was many, but to us meaning like the great American public, that consumes shitloads of pornography. This is one of the things that drives me fucking bananas about the way people talk about sex on television. From those horrible To Catch a Predator shows where that horrible host would act like butter wouldn't melt in his ass and he's never heard of this internet thing and people are using these tubes of the interwebs to find, to lurk in chat rooms. Some of them are pedophiles, but even he'd always feign shock that even adults might go to the internet in search of sexual contacts and sexual partners. And this sort of faux naivete that they trot out, particularly on CNN for some reason. Like, oh my God, this internet. Have you heard of this internet? People are actually having orgasms. People are watching other people have the sex. And this, I'm sure that Nancy Grace, who kind of made porn in her appearance in Dancing with the Stars when her tits fell out of her dress, which is also all over the interwebs. And because if something exists in the world, someone somewhere is jerking off about it. Nancy Grace's tits exist in the world, and they've been released into the wild on the internet, and as distressing a thought of this might be, someone somewhere is jerking off to those tits. And they seemed like lovely breasts, I have to say. That's my uninformed opinion. Like, what do I know? But just this, like, oh my God, porn, this fake fucking revulsion. Nancy Grace lives and works in New York fucking City. You have to step over the porn to get into CNN's offices. And Grace, reveals her ignorance of porn. I realize to you, 25, you slut, may not seem like many pornos, but to us, now anybody who knows anything about the porn industry knows that they crank a lot of this stuff out. People appear in many scenes and many films. It's kind of a volume industry. So to appear in 25 films really isn't an extensive or remarkable porn career. Real porn stars, particularly in this day and age, particularly in the days of internet pornography, will appear in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of scenes in films and shorts. Hundreds, thousands even. Someone like Jenna Jameson has appeared in hundreds of movies. That this poor, hot, bearish, sexy gay dude appeared in 25 really is minimal. It's really it was like a sideline, a hobby, something he did for fun to make a little bit of money. He wasn't a porn star. I've never even heard of this guy. I ran his name by some friends who are porn nutbags, aficionados, followers, fans, and they hadn't heard of him. They recognized him after I showed them pictures. They hadn't heard of him. He's not a porn star. But you should see Nancy Grace's face in this video. She's rolling her eyes in her big empty head, pretending that, oh my God, she knows nothing of porn. She's just finding all this out as if the men and probably many of the women who work at CNN, who are operating the cameras that are pointing at Nancy Grace's ugly fucking lying face, aren't porn consumers. I mean, that's the pretense on TV. when they talk about sex on TV. That everybody on TV has just the normal sex and doesn't go in for anything strange and certainly doesn't consume porn, doesn't participate in commercialized sex cultures and waka waka waka. And the way Grace treated this guy who, go watch the interview online, you can find it on YouTube, who is nothing but charming and self-effacing. The way she treated him, slut-shaming. People would recognize it for what it was if he had a vagina. But he does not have a vagina, he has a penis. And it just seemed like the sex-negative dingbat blowing up at the dude that some people are uncomfortable with as a teacher, because once he took his pants off in front of a camera, which describes just about every American under the age of 40 now in our country. Everybody's got a little porn studio in their pocket these days. It's called an iPhone. Was slut-shaming. And it was beneath CNN, not beneath Nancy Grace, who doesn't know what shame is, but it was beneath CNN. And everyone who works at CNN who consumes porn, which is everyone at CNN, should be ashamed.